Welcome back to World of Walkers, where we discuss walkers and all things Ark of War. I'm your host, Range 87, and yeah, let's jump right into it. Last episode, I appreciate you guys really bearing through it. I know we had some sound issues, but want to get that content out there, and I made the jump. I ate Pictor. I'm going to show you some pretty exciting stuff with that. But I want to first off, big shout out, Melt Line community, World of Walker Line chat, and everybody that's just been real supportive, hitting up the YouTube channel and encouraging this kind of content to come out. So let's jump into it. First off, I just want to talk a little bit about walkers as in general as a meta. If you're new to this game and you're coming in, walkers are really fun. They are really fun the first 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks that you're getting on the server. You're getting up and going. Typically, they're going to run some type of server event. You'll get a free Galileo. If you're lucky enough, you get enough A releases, you're able to pull out Hoodoo. And those are some really fun commanders early game to play with. If you want to mix some stuff up, there's other commanders out there that are all troop types. So you can use like Grievous, Kraken, and one of my favorites, Maruko. If you do air in front and walkers in the back, you'll find early game you're going to have a lot of fun playing that meta. But there's something that happens as air begins to get more research, as you start seeing more defense, HP, different gear come in, that Walker loses a little bit of its bite. And so you got to understand that if you're choosing to go Walker long term, you got to know why you're doing it. And I'll say this is that you go Walkers not because it's easy, not because it's logical, you do it because it's fun. Walkers have the ability to be the counter to a lot of whether it be infantry commanders or air commanders. There's always a couple different counters within the game. If you talk about the rock, paper, scissors meta, you've got the natural, it's about 20%. Just so you guys know, if you don't know this, there's about a 20% strength and weaken effect that happens from air to walkers, and then from walkers to infantry. Also, every time that you hit, there's about a 15% variance on what that damage is going to be. So even if it's an even playing field, you still have a 15% variance. So it could be as much as a 35% variance just on an even match. And so to understand kind of how the gear works, the troop types, the research, you have to really dive into some of the formulas. I really recommend Theory Crafters. You can get on the Discord channel. Man, they've put a lot of the early work into this game to be able to break down with the gear, the formulas, the troop types, a lot of the information. I know myself and countless others within the line community really reference that information. So for instance, understanding how attack works, attack is attack squared, so you'll have attack times attack, and then be able to divide that by the defense. That's your basic attack formula. And then if you understand how crit works, that crit, you get a natural times whatever that number is, just multiply it times 2. And then we won't even get into crit damage with Magiwell Pants or Eye of Abyss, because that's a whole different ball game where crit wither comes into effect, which is kind of where the meta is going long term. But early game, that's not a lot of the stuff that you have to worry about. It's pretty even. Strength and weaken effect is really kind of an end game. It is a game changer, but it's more of an end game money player dynamic. And so you have to, as you grow, you have to go, okay, where does my place? How do I want to play my game? And where do I want to fit in? I can tell you that from a free-to-play standpoint, free-to-play walkers. I mean, you might as well just main a bullet. With Ghost Cannon, that's a great hit. You can actually, Rock is coming into play because dodge is the meta right now. Whenever couple seasons ago, they released the Awakening ability. The Awakening ability adds 600% dodge, up to 600% dodge to some of these commanders. And I know that air's maximum dodge research combined is about 480. So you're looking at about 1,080 in dodge that you have to be able to overcome. There's very few commanders out there, or very few gear sets that you can combine together to be able to hit that mark. Walker has some advantages. So first off, a couple advantages that you have with Walker versus infantry or air. Number one is that you do have Dirge. If you're combining a Dirge with Voltar, with Eye of Abyss, or Death Star, which are all accuracy pieces, you need to be able to research each one of those. Maybe putting on like an accuracy hull, Armageddon, or Apocalypse. Apocalypse, if you are a Walker, and I said you had to start with one hull, the hull that you need to start with is going to be Apocalypse, period. I will main an Apocalypse hull 9 out of 10 times in any engagement because the majority of the meta is air. And as so many people go air, you need that 80% resistance weaken effect to be able to counter. Plus, it has 87% accuracy and attack, and it's just all around one of the best hulls that you're going to get stat for stat. So yeah, you combine that with, let's say, 2 dirges on a rock that's rocking some Yetis, and you're in a galactic battle. You're one-slotting it just to be able to hold the space. You may gain 50, 80, 100 T12 if just with a lucky hit, depending on your leadership size. That's a way that you can contribute. But yeah, you got to figure out what your game is. I can tell you that the game opens up when you start getting into T9 and T10, mainly because of the double attributes. So there's a lot of different gem sets that you can combine together. And just the stat for stat return on investment that you're going to get with let's say Hoodoo, or even switching out some of the commanders, and I'll show you some of this here in a little bit later. Up until you get to T9, you're pretty much able to go, okay, which route am I going to go? You may say you committed one route, but I mean honestly, after you get to T9, T10, that's where you really start investing money into this game. And have to make a choice and figure out which way that you're going to go, unless you're some sort of mega spender, and there are plenty of those. Real exciting, actually. You want to figure out who the mega spender are? Go to this peak contest. Go if you're in the senior division, just go to the board, and you will find every single major contributor to that are paying for the servers for this game. It's really awesome to see. You can see their gear, you can see their gym sets, you can see their sets, their setups. So that's actually something that's now public information. So going back to it, let's talk a little bit about if you're starting out and you're free to play. Yeah, I mean sticking with rock or getting a chief and having fun with some T2. But as soon as tier suppression starts coming in, that's where you're going to start finding some issues. As far as ignore tier suppression, yeah, I mean, you're looking at rock. There are some good commanders out there that are in the Walker, I would say, lineup that haven't even been touched yet. And a lot of it has to do with you have to commit to full stacks, to long-term game, and the fact that Rogers is still just such a beast. Everybody... You'll see in Galactic Battle, some of the top guilds are still maining 3 or 4 T12 Rogers in a row. And I don't care how big your Vega is, you just can't clear the tower fast enough. And that's where the Walker response of Fullmetal has really come into play. It's also the reason why I had to retire Pictor. So, yeah, so you can have a lot of fun. I would say probably best Walker commanders early game, if you're getting up to T5, 6, 7, Medusa, phenomenal, guaranteed hits. Once she starts guaranteed hitting, she continues to guaranteed hit, which allows you to build your build more around HP, or more around attack, or you can put a shield on there, you name it. So there's just different things you could do with that without having to put a lot of accuracy gear on. Hoodoo, you need accuracy for Hoodoo, so you're going to want to run something like Eye of Abyss, maybe some Titans and either an Invincible, Body of Phoenix, a Black Knight. I mean, you're really wanting to set him up to be able to start taking out the stacks of troops, because if you start taking out one stack, he has a skill called Death Rattle that is just massively powerful. And what's awesome is that when you get somebody that just throws out a stupid march where they've got a bunch of T12 in one stack and then they've got a bunch of T2 in another, you hit that T2, kills all the T2, but at the same ratio will also knock out all of the T12 as well. So there's some really good. I wish, you know what, we need to get, and maybe Mel can help us out with this, we need a collection of just phenomenal Hoodoo hits. Because those are the oh shit hits, right? Like, you done messed up when you got hit by a Hoodoo. So, yeah, we're talking early game on that. Put down in the comments below, what's your favorite early game walker? Galileo, I know, is one that they put out there early on, and he's fun to play. He does lose some value as you start getting a lot more research with air and infantry. Let's talk about T9, T10. If you're a walker main and you've got T10 walkers, you're going to love this. The beautiful part about being a walker commander is that there aren't really that many other walker commanders. Which means at T10, the only troop that can strengthen, weaken, affect a T10 walker is a T11 walker. So if you are the only T10 walker on your server, you've got a massive advantage to this. And I'll tell you, one of the commanders that I probably have the most fun with, and I still main them today, secondary, but I love, it's probably the best defense commander, in my opinion, in the game. And that's the X. She is powerful at defending an arc. So, give me an idea. Just kind of jump over here real quick. Let's see. Put this over here. So we're going to roll in and we're going to take a look at the X. I've got mine at 70,000 sitting over here on the X. Let's see, we'll just put it out here. We got all 50 skill levels. I'm running Ever Awaken right now just because we're kind of getting towards the playoffs, and I want to be able to have just the best return on investment for the reagent. I don't use a lot of infantry, so I actually have a lot, so I'm not too worried about it. You'll see here I've got them set up with Eye of Abyss running Sagittarius Gemini. Sagittarius Gemini. Give you an idea, those are both guaranteed hits. Now, going back to it, I said that Walker has something that nobody else has, and that's the ability to have 3 guaranteed hits, and 4 if you really count Libra, which I don't. But 3 guaranteed hits. So you can combine Gemini, which is 2 hits back to back, with its 100% damage. You can do Leo, which is basically breakdown. It's ignore 60% defense, and that's what penetration gear as well. So if you're combining, one of the things that you could do, and I like to do, is I'll switch out one of these for let's say a Titan, or I'll switch out for a Wild Rose, and that Wild Rose will give me 16% penetration. If I'm sitting there and I'm adding the hull, another 13%, 12% penetration, something like that. And so you're getting close to 100% penetration. That means that out of the entire amount of defense that these commanders have, and Eric carries a lot of defense, 9 out of the 10 of that entire amount of defense you're able to just ignore, which means that your attack double is only being divided by a much smaller amount, so the damage that you're going to deliver is going to go further against their HP, and so it's powerful. So you could do something like that, but I love the X has a skill that's called Mysterious Winds. It's much like Stella, that he gets to go again, and it reactivates the gems as well, so it'll reactivate the gem again. So you have the ability to hit, Sagittarius, to hit Gemini. If you're at T10 walkers, you can use, because it's a dual type troop, it's walker and infantry. So you can actually use Sagittarius on it. You can use Gemini on it. You could put, if you're doing a 4-set, hell, you could put a Taurus and a Leo on there as well. And just know that you're going to hit consistently. You're going to keep hitting gem hits. They're going to stack on top of each other. But his second skill, and this is what I love, it's called Bloodthirst. So if somebody puts the front row, and here's the problem with maining walkers. Walkers are not meant to be a one-slot bust. They're just not. If you're in a server battle, if you're fighting the same people, it doesn't take long for them to figure out exactly how to counter some of your walker marches. And what I mean by that is they can put 1, 2, 3 slots 1, 2, and 3. They can put just one T12 in, or they can put one Ranger in, and then they can load up slot 4 because they know that you're going to knock out slots 1, 2, and 3, which actually gives them first strike, and that puts you at a disadvantage in any one slot formation. So there's some things that you can do as a walker to try to avoid that. You can put 1, 2, 3 on your front slots. You can try to mix it up. You can do a slot 2 where your slot 1's always going to get busted. But for the most part, it's very difficult to one slot a walker commander, with the exception of, I would say, Elf. Elf probably is the best one slot commander in the walker portfolio. Outside of that, personally, my favorite is the X. She is the best walker one slot commander at T10. You can load up a ton of accuracy. You can put a bunch of T10 walkers in slots 1 and 4, and she does a really, really good job of defending and punching through, especially because I'm a T12 commander, so I'm waiting for somebody to mess up, and when they throw out some troops, I get some points, I get ahead. Now they're starting to rush a little bit, and they throw out these massive amount of T12 troops. Well, now that's where I'm able to play ball and counter whatever they're throwing at me with Fullmetal or Pictor or Elf or whoever I have at the time. So yeah, let's kind of give this a go. Let's kind of go through and run it through Ace real quick. I've already got it pre-slotted, so just save you a little bit of time here. Let me go in and refresh. Oh, let's do it. We battled Dead Mop a couple weeks ago. It's really fun, actually. Alright. So I've just got my Elf up here. Usually I have all my T10 walkers on my Elf, so she holds a pretty good line. So she doesn't have a lot right now. She might blow through this Ghillie, to be honest. I've got some pretty good gear on her. And it doesn't look like Ghillie is hitting that hard. So we're just going to punch through this real quick. Yep, that worked. Now we're going to run into Hoodoo. Alright, so this should be a pretty good matchup. Hoodoo's going to blow through my Elf. She's got more leadership, it looks like, or more troops in the stack. Might have the same amount of leadership. But I shouldn't win this. And I did not. So, here we go. Now we're looking at the X. And I've got her set up in a formation, really a defense formation. But I don't mind going on offense. Alright, so there you go. Now I triggered the Bloodthirst. And let's go. We're running a little bit slow. Now he's going to go second. He's going to knock out my 2 and 3, and then that gives me the slot 1 again. And the cool part is once you've had the slot 1 and 4 set up, ooh, we're going to see this death rattle. He might take me on the death rattle. Nope. There we go. That was a pretty fun replay. There you go. Kind of gives you an idea of what you can do. And if I had a gem trigger on that first slot, that would have absolutely punched through, and you would have got to see that. So, yeah. For a long time, some of the dynamics of the game that I didn't understand, obviously strength and weaken effect and how that really works with T9 and T10. Look over at Ridiculous Badger. He's got some videos that actually explain it really well, a lot better than I probably can. I get when it works, exactly how it works. There's a separation between something to do with the accuracy and something to do with I believe the actual damage or something. But again, Badger's got way better videos on that. Melt's put some stuff out, so you guys can look at that. That's the fun part. But yeah, it took a very long time to really understand that dynamic, and you really, until you get to T9, T10, it doesn't really become that big of a dynamic. You can put some sweet gear on, but it's very expensive to get the hull, to get some of the gear, get it collected. You're usually pushing T9, T10 by the time you have a full set anyways. And then you kind of figure out how to work with that. T11's a whole different beast. And then, of course, T12 with tear space and how that's really, I don't know, killed the majority of SWE marches, but there's still a select few. Not going to really put those out there at this time. I've got some guild mates that have really worked on some stuff, and it's been exciting to see what they've done with it. But SWE was a big deal. Understanding exactly how attack with defense and then crit. Penetration made sense because it was face value. Flare skill where it says ignore HP made sense because it was face value. But curse damage was probably one of the biggest mysteries to me in this game. And it took a long time for me to truly understand what curse damage was. I'll share with you. If you don't know what curse damage is, just think that the same way that penetration ignores defense, all you're dealing with is if you have 100% ignore defense, all you're dealing with is attack and HP. And so it's, what is the attack times 2? And then you're dividing that by the HP. If you're dealing with curse damage, it's actually quite the opposite. Curse ignores 100% HP. That's right. I'm just going to leave that there. You can go and kind of do the research, try to figure out, how that works. But basically, it ignores HP, which is why on all the skills it has a damage limiter. So you have two different formulas going on. You have your attack divided by defense, but then you also have up to 200 or 300% of normal attack. I've gone through all the curses. I still believe, even though it's lower, that Elf's curse is the most powerful of all the curses. But Maruka has a curse, the Exorcist has a curse, Durai has a curse. So there's other commanders out there that aren't just Walker, but infantry and air as well. But that's a different type of dynamic, and so your build is really dependent upon what is your main enemy stacking. What is it that they're gravitating towards? And so there is no one-size-fits-all build. There's no one-size commander that fits all. Trust me, I hated eating Pictor. That's my boy, man. I made a lot of people mad running Pictor. I love that I could dodge and hurt them and come out of it for a relatively low, cheap cost. I didn't have a lot that I would put out there. But it hurt them. It hurt our rivals, and so they were less apt to sit there and stack up the towers and the Sinecan and all of that, because they knew that if they're going to take that tower, they may take it, but I'm going to make them bleed. And as this game's evolving, and props to 7P and kind of what they've done with this, they've really evened out the dynamic in the meta. And this has been the year of the Walker for sure. We've had some major Walker commanders come out. We've had some skill boosts. We've had some gear. We've had hulls. And I still believe that that making Walkers great is what allows infantry to be great. You can't have good infantry commanders or set up good infantry marches, because air would counter infantry using stupid marches that Walkers will take all day long. But they hold back because they know that our tanks are just sitting back waiting for that march. And so right now, we lost the ability to have Ghost Wall and Galactic Battle, which is awesome. It didn't just take away Ghost Wall, but it also took away the ability to surround the towers. So now you know that you're going to have battles. You're going to sit there and you're going to fight it out. It's a points game. It's a strength game. And so you've seen a lot of the major guilds be able to pile up, and they're focusing on stacking a bunch of Rogers, and it's timing out since they've lowered the time in Galactic Battle down to 30 minutes for a stronghold, an hour for the base. It's changed the dynamic of how we play, and so we have to adjust with the game. I'm a big proponent of, look, don't bitch about it. Just figure out where the weak point is, and then adjust your game accordingly. And you may have to go out there and to revamp some gear. You may have to go back and revamp some commanders. You may have to eat some commanders and rebuild. Team up with some other people that complement your build. So with that being said, I don't want to get too much into that. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to give you guys this sweet little gem here. Introducing Fullmetal. Woo! So this is about a 900,000 Fullmetal going against a 1.1 million Rogers. This is Galactic Battle. By all accounts, with any other commander, this would be an absolute devastation. On my Fullmetal, what am I running? I'm running Cassiopeia, I'm running Virgo, and I am running Leo. I want to put Taurus on there. I've seen some other builds. I've seen Titan builds. I've seen Eternal Barrier builds. I'm still 50-50 on it. I've got some opinions. I'm going to hold those back. But in this specific situation, I think that I am running barriers on it. Yeah. So talk about their skills a little bit real quick. What we have are two commanders that are facing off. I've got dodge obviously built into my build, which if T12 does not hit, then Terra Space does not kick in. Terra Space is about as hard of a hit as the hardest hit that any commander can make just off of attack. And so you'll see this right here where I hit and then it went down to 1190 from 1353. It just shows you the scope and field that HP hits have. And as a Walker commander, you have more HP than any other class. So when you get to T12, it really does give you that natural advantage of, one, survivability, but number two, man, that second hit on a Terra Space is powerful. So far, some of the skill sets for Fullmetal. Fullmetal has probably one of the highest damage increasers on the first skill, Ethereal. I think mine's at 175 right now. That on the back row, if I can hit through the front row, the back row gets hit for a plus 175 damage. Yeah, Ethereal Strike. So it goes through the front row to the back row, which is really awesome when you'll see some of these air commanders hiding some T10 or T11 infantry in the back because infantry hits harder and they know that you can't get through it, but then all of a sudden you're able to hit it with that Ethereal Strike. That's nice. And that's one of the reasons why I'm back and forth when it comes to Titans, because why would you want to not capitalize on such a powerful skill at 30%? His 60% skill is going to be your Steam Cannon. Steam Cannon does two things. One, it will reduce crit, and number two, it will reduce dodge. So if you can get close enough to the amount of dodge that your opponent has, every time you trigger it, you're triggering up to 60% dodge reduction, which is basically like adding 60% accuracy to your build. And so there's a certain point where you're not hitting, now you're hitting. And so that's fun. Again, and then the crit reduction. So again, as you start to stack that crit reduction is crit chance, not crit damage, it's crit chance. But you're stacking up the reduction of crit chance, and once you're minus 100% crit chance, and they don't have anything extra as far as their crit ability on top of that, you're combining the crit wither you're reducing whatever their attack doubled times or attack squared divided by defense equals damage times 2, because that's crit. You're taking that times 2 away, and so you're basically just cutting their attack in half. And so if you're looking for survivability long term, man, that's powerful. Now I can tell you that crit chance gets pretty high with air as you go on, so you're going to have to stack maybe some crit wither headpiece, maybe Capricorn to be able to really get the full effect of that. But so far, as most people aren't maxed out, on their research, it's a safe bet that you're probably going to reduce their crit altogether using Fullmetal. So far, you can just see, man, that the Fullmetal, I'm dodging. I'm getting away from it right now. I believe that I'm going through a round of let's see, we're round 2. I'm wondering if Virgo's hit already. It doesn't look like I triggered Virgo yet. They're still proccing Cancer, which adds defense, which doesn't matter because I don't really have an attack build right now. I'm using all HP, which just ignores the defense. Terror Space ignores defense. The defense does not matter with Terror Space. It's my HP, his HP, and leadership. Those are the only things that really go into it. So I'm just chipping away. Boom, boom, boom. As I trigger Cassiopeia, Cassiopeia is going to keep any debuff that they may be running. So for air, one of the things you have to look out for is Cephas, which will lower your defense by 100. You got to look out for Virgo, lowers your attack by 100. It will ignore curse damage, Dizzy from Stella. So there's a lot of real practical plays that Cassiopeia comes into play. You're able to ignore that. And then if you're running Cassiopeia Virgo on Walker commanders, is so powerful because not only do you break off those debuffs, but then you're also able to increase your own defense by 100, lower their attack by 100. You stack those up through an entire roll. And what I found out, and this is talking to support, Virgo will go an entire round, come back around, and then stack again. So you can stack Virgo for 2 rounds. All your other skills don't stack, but Virgo does. Yeah, and so that increases the survivability. Anyways, just to give you guys an idea of kind of how this thing works, I'm going to go ahead. I want to keep this short, so we're going to go ahead and just show. They had about 100 Origin left. I was outclassed by 300,000 leadership. You're welcome. All right, guys. Well, hope you guys have a great day, and stay tuned. We're going to have some more stuff coming out.